So I want to make the argument for more straightforward training practices for the general population and for athletes alike. This means no more mixing modalities, no more cramming things into session, and no more cross training. You know, when you do strength work, you do strength work. When you do conditioning, you do conditioning. And if you need to work on skills, you just work on skills. Just bare bones, strength and conditioning for everyone. And I got two main reasons for this. And then we'll talk about the specifics and finally how to adapt this to like a competitive environment, because there are some exceptions to the things that I'm saying. First reason is physical, because less is more. You need to look at your body as a unit, you know, a complete system of tissues, each one of them with a specific job and a specific purpose, but all of them working in unison. This means that when you're doing strength work, your cardiovascular system is not just turned off. The same way that when you're doing conditioning, let's say when you're running, your muscles are not just like, oh, we're running now, let's just not get too worked up. No. Everything works all of the time. So if you're trying to get strong and fitter, running a strength cycle while doing 6 metcons a week could actually be counterproductive and eventually will oftentimes just lead to overtraining. The second reason is psychological, and it's what I refer to as ownership of your own training and ownership of your own journey in the things that you're trying to do. So what I always try to get across people's heads is that you need to understand what each session and each training block is all about. What are the goals and what are the things that you are trying to do? You do not have to become an expert in everything involved in strength and conditioning, but you do need to put some effort into understanding what each session is all about. And the best part about this is that when you're not training in these cross modalities and you're not trying to work on 3 things at once, the goals are pretty simple. There's oftentimes going to be just one goal for the entire 8 to 12 week block. And also all your workouts are going to be somewhat similar. And this is not a bad thing. This is how training has always worked. And week after week, you're gonna be able to see the small tweaks and the small changes that we make to inch you closer and closer to your goal. It becomes easier to track progress and you can actually see the changes happening in real time because you're doing very similar things on a weekly basis. This makes the routine feel good. It makes it a good routine and also a fulfilling routine. So how do we do this? The main problem that I have with all this cross-modality disciplines are the fact that oftentimes you just get thrown into a cookie-cutter program that just tries to do everything all the time for everyone. But when you take a step back and actually look at things from a more traditional perspective of just strength and conditioning work, it's easier to structure your programs. And here's how easy it is. You will always just do 2 things, resistance training and conditioning, hence the name strength and conditioning. Better conditioning just means better quality reps during your workouts and also better recovery, both between sets and in between workouts. And strength training or resistance training is what allows us to remain strong, powerful, and also make all our joints and tendons more resilient, which eventually will allow us to do even more work. These are all, of course, very good things. The main principle here is you just do one thing at a time. Each session has its own goal. When you do strength work, you just do strength work. When you do conditioning, you just do conditioning work. So for the general population, when it comes to conditioning, my usual suggestion is just to pick up a sport. Join a rec league or just start practicing some type of sport 1 to 3 times a week. And that will oftentimes fulfill all your conditioning needs. If you're only doing it once a week, I would suggest you find another avenue or do something else. Oftentimes when it comes to sports, there will be somewhat of a high intensity type effort. So look for some like low intensity alternatives. Go on long walks, long runs. 30 to 45 minutes is ideal at a very low intensity. And that should take care of all your conditioning needs. On top of that, go to the gym. You know, at least twice a week, ideally maybe 2 to 4 times a week. You know, but if you can only do it once a week, then do it once a week. Do not skip strength work. Do not skip the gym. All in all, you should be looking at doing some type of work at least 4 days a week. And here's where it gets fun because you can adapt this to fit your lifestyle or to fit your current goals. So you want more strength work, you want to put on some size, add another strength day, drop a conditioning day. You know, just do more strength work, do more bodybuilding work. You like Olympic weightlifting? Run a full Olympic weightlifting cycle. Do you like powerlifting? Run a full powerlifting cycle. Like, get strong as shit and max out at the end of 12 weeks and then just fall back to your regular training. If you're not competing at a high level, I will highly suggest you never drop completely all of your conditioning work. But at the end of the day, 8 to 12 weeks is not gonna matter. If you just wanna focus on that for 8 to 12 weeks, forget about conditioning. Just do strength work. You're gonna be fine. Same thing on the other side. Let's say you wanna get into running. Well, get 1 strength day a week and then just focus on running. You know, I would still suggest you keep at least 1 strength day a week. because it will help you with a lot of the imbalances that come with doing things like running. But at the end of the day, if you just want to do running for 12 weeks, do it, okay? Train for that half marathon or that marathon, finish it, and then fall back into your regular training. The best part about being like a classical training fanboy like me is the fact that you are always in pretty decent shape. You're always in very good shape. So you can do whatever you want. You can jump into whatever discipline piques your interest at the time and just focus on that for the next 4 months. And then you just fall back into your normal routines and you stay in very good shape all throughout the year. Like, once you get into the rhythm of doing this and understanding what you need on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, it gets to be very, very fun. Finally, a word on sports and how to prioritize things. I can't really say that I don't have anything against things like CrossFit or High Rocks, I think they call it now, or all of these metabolic conditioning modalities that now exist, because I do think that most of the times they paint a picture that is objectively not true, and it makes it seem like you can do everything all the time, which is, again, it's not really true. But I do also think there are people in these spaces that do things very, very well, and they obey by the same principles that I always try to promote. When Matt Fraser got into the programming space and he started selling his own programming, one of the main complaints that people had was that his training was very repetitive, because Matt did train like this. Okay, Matt did not do CrossFit all year long. Matt ran proper strength cycles in the off season before going into his CrossFit season. And there are a lot of coaches that do this and understand this and still know how to mix the methodologies of CrossFit in just regular strength training. They know how to organize training blocks, and they know how to get you to do things at the right time. And in a way, do everything throughout the year. You're just not doing everything all at once. That's the difference. Even in the CrossFit space, if athletes struggle with the Olympic lifts, they just do the Olympic lifts. If they struggle with gymnastics, they just do gymnastics. They don't just do more metcons that have the Olympic lifts on them. They don't just do more metcons that have gymnastics in them. They know how to separate these things and train in a more classical way, and then incorporate everything back into CrossFit. And this is the point of an off season, is to focus on this structure, single discipline work. What I've been calling this entire video, traditional strength and conditioning training. Just train for the sports or the disciplines in the traditional way, because it works. And even if you're in other sports outside of CrossFit, things like rugby, basketball, baseball, whatever it is, track and field, give yourself an off season and allow yourself the opportunity to train in the disciplines by themselves. So if you've never run a strength block in your entire life and you're objectively weak when compared to your competition, run a proper strength block. Run 8 weeks of just strength work. Chances are you only have to do it once or twice in your life. If you're objectively out of shape when it compares to your competition, do some track workouts in the off season and learn how to train. That's the whole point of it, is to learn how to train and how to get better at the things that you actually need to get better at. All right, and that's the video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it, got something useful out of it. I always appreciate everyone that watches and comments on these videos. If you're interested in learning more about training in general, I put together a 10 email series on the most important training principles that everyone should follow if they want to have success with their training. Regardless of age or the level you're at, the principles remain the same, and most often we're just repeating the same things over and over again. So yeah, the link is below. Feel free to subscribe, and yeah, thanks for watching.
It is important to draw wisdom from many different places. If we take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale. Understanding others, the other elements, and the other nations will help you become whole.